Hey everyone, welcome back to Horror Realm Radio. Yes, you heard that right. It's Horror Realm Radio, the show that won't stay dead. I am your host, Mike Exler. I'm here with my friend Rich Delzato. Rich, how are you?
Hello. I am well, thank you.
That's good. So you might be asking yourself, why are you hearing us again? And especially, why are you seeing us again? Well, we decided to re-debut Horror Realm Radio. The pandemic slowed life down, and we decided to see if we could rebuild the amazingness that was Horror Realm Radio. Rich, what say you? Do you think we could do it?
Well, we didn't set the bar very high last time, so I'm confident that we can
We did
rebuild.
not.
Yes. Yeah. The glory
We did
can.
not. We had a little. Yeah, we used to have a midnight slot on the From Dusk Till Dawn network, Friday at midnight. That was your idea,
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah,
I,
it wasn't
what
one of
was
my
the
better
idea?
ideas.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was rough at times, but we did it, and we had the pinnacle episode at Cinema Wasteland that is lost for the ages.
We'll recreate that one someday. And
Never again.
if I may real quickly,
Never.
to celebrate
What?
that first midnight episode, you may recall that I felt it was necessary to imbibe in a little bit of Rebel Yell.
Oh, I do remember
So
that. Yeah,
for
you
our,
drank like a whole bottle
yeah,
of it.
because I was very nervous about speaking on the radio. So, in order to celebrate our return, I figured I would sip on a little bit of Rebel Yell while we record this evening.
Not you're not gonna just do the whole shot.
Just a little bit, and that'll sip. I'll just sip that throughout the whole show.
Nice, nice. I respect that. Little sipping whiskey
Yeah. Well,
for you.
it feels right considering that that was an integral part of that first midnight episode. Which was that not also New Year's Eve?
It was New Year's Eve. The first episode of Horror on Radio was New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
It
there's
was.
something really wrong with us.
I believe we watched New Year's Evil before we did the show,
That we did.
and and that's not a good movie. So definitely don't watch that film.
No. Nor should you ever watch us. But
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's you know. And don't forget, if you don't want to watch us, we will have this in podcast form, so you can just go back to hearing us, which won't be as good because you can't see us, but I'm sure people will debate that. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing with Horror Realm Radio in a little bit. But we mentioned it a little bit earlier, Rich. You brought the convention back. And that's sort of why we decided to bring the radio show back. Talk about why you brought the show back and a little bit how that went.
sure. And no reason to rehash the reasons that we put it on hiatus. And but it was a busy life and some stuff. I have partners, of course, Michelle and Sandy in the convention, and everybody's life was going in many directions at that point. So we didn't feel like we could put the best convention on that we wanted to put on. So we put it on hiatus, and we weren't sure if it was ever going to come back. And the last show was March of 2017, if you recall. And I would
Yep.
argue one of our best conventions that we put on. And it was a great guest list, but also just the vendors and the people who supported it. It was a great show. It was a great way to go out, and we were satisfied. For the
No, it was a
time
great
being.
show. What's that?
For the time being, we were satisfied. But
Right, right.
as time went
So you
by,
guys,
we
yep.
missed it.
Well, that's a good enough reason for anything. You guys always put on a great show, and I was excited to hear when you told me that it was coming back, and you were one of the shows that got lucky enough that COVID didn't hit before you were able to pull off the show, your comeback show. Talk a little bit about some of the pressures that you were facing during that.
The pressures didn't really show up until the weekend of, because our show was March 6th, 7th, and 8th of this year. And so if you recall, that was kind of just when it was starting to spread. A couple weeks prior, we had a couple cases in Oregon or Washington in a nursing home, and they were telling us don't worry about things. The week leading up to
Right.
HorrorRealm is when they started getting more cases and telling people to be careful with travel and things like that. But there was no restrictions in place yet. So at that point, and of course, there wasn't much facts and figures to help us make informed decisions. So we were fortunate in a sense that one guest, she was a little under the weather, so she ended up not coming to the show. And hopefully she'll be back again in the future. Judy Arneson from Weird Science and Friday the 13th Part 4. Yeah, 4. Horrible horror fan.
5.
Anyway, 5. What? 5?
The worst.
I am. But anyway, and I was at that point. What? Did you say?
No, just that you don't know. I'm disappointed.
Well,
hopefully. Are we not allowed to say fuck on this show?
I think we're allowed to say whatever we want. But anyway, so I was starting to get a little nervous a few days before that maybe other people would make the same choice, and I would have respected it. But there was no restrictions in place at that point. They weren't even telling you to wash your hands better at that point. We hadn't even gotten to where
Right.
you're getting instruction like we're 3-year-olds on how to wash your hands. Which, looking at a lot of adults, they actually did need that refresher course. So
yeah, it was probably a good thing.
Yeah. So the weekend went smoothly. I don't know why, but it was actually the most fun HorrorRealm convention for me personally. And I think the people that attended, I got a good vibe that they had a good time. I know the guests were happy, the vendors were happy. So we got really lucky because 7 to 10 days later, now all of a sudden we're locking things down, and within days after that, we're self-quarantining and staying home and all that good stuff. So we just got lucky. There's no other way to explain it.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure HorrorRealm was about the last thing I did.
Yeah.
Since the pandemic hit. So yeah, that's fitting. That's fitting. But I'm glad that it went off without a hitch. We got a show planned this fall or this spring. Sorry. What are the dates there?
That's correct. March 5th through the 7th. And, of course, we're doing it with the disclaimer of, things could change because of COVID. And,
Right.
because we're not going to be out of the woods even with a vaccine at that point. I'm not going to play doctor and say when we're going to be back to normal. But we thought it was important to at least start planning, and just with the understanding that people know we might have to push it to later in the year. But we don't want to just miss an entire year, and we want people to have something to look forward to.
Right. No, I completely agree. So that's cool. And it's great that you guys are being transparent with that. A lot of people in the convention scene don't do that. So it's nice to see that you guys are being that way and being upfront with your attendees.
Well, thank you. Our focus has always been a good time for everybody who supports the show. They're putting their hard-earned money. So there's no reason not to be transparent. It's definitely not paying the bills beyond paying for the convention. It's not paying my mortgage. So that's not the intention of this convention. So, and, we're trying to be helpful too. Of course, we have a health plan set up, but we're also, vendors have taken a killing this year, or taken a beating with not being able to do shows. So we're just asking them for a small deposit, and they don't have to pay until we're sure this show is going to happen. If it gets pushed later in the year, then they don't pay till closer to that, because no reason to pile on to them. It's going to be tough enough for them to recover. So I don't want to take money out of their pockets right now.
Right. No, that's another good thing. It's shows the show's character, and that's important.
Well, thank you.
People notice that.
So
with that, we're going to get into HorrorRealm in detail throughout. We're going to have a show each week. I guess we should talk about the details of the show. The show will be each week. It's going to be podcast form. It'll be on HorrorRealm, their YouTube channel. I'll have all that at the end of the show for you guys to write down and whatnot. have all that information. It'll also be on otherworldlyculture.com, so you guys can check it there. And then the podcast form will be on all your major. Our friend Tim just got it on Amazon. You can get it on Stitcher and iTunes as well. So it'll be there for, if you're in the pandemic and you're working out at home, want to pop us in the earbuds, it's always a good time. So we'll do that. So let's go over a little bit about some of the segments that we're going to have, Rich, on Horror Realm Radio. We had some segments originally in the original run of the show. Some worked, some did not. So we put our thinking caps on and we decided to come up with some new ones, but we stuck with some favorites, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So one of my segments that I'm going to be doing is, if you listen to any of my shows in the past, I've been looking for a good witch movie. I just haven't found it yet. People are going to say, well, Suspiria. And if you don't know me, I don't like Suspiria. I know it's a sin in the horror world, but that's going to be my quest. So I'm going to watch a film randomly every once in a while, a witch film. And hopefully throughout this quest, I'll review some witch films, and hopefully I will find a good witch film. I'm not really sure that's possible, but we'll see. Rich, do you think I'm going to succeed?
I think you will succeed. I don't know if you'll succeed before we're done doing the show, because, eventually people will speak by not listening to us, and we'll be like, why are we doing it? Just kidding. I hope that people enjoy it enough to tune in once in a while. But no, I think you will eventually. There's so many movies out there. I think some point you're going to pop one in the DVD player, and it's going to surprise you. It might be something from 1940, which is not your era for movies normally.
No, it's
not saying that you don't appreciate.
I respect those films. I just don't like them.
Yeah, but I think you're going to have to dig deep into areas you normally wouldn't.
Yeah, I think the first movie that I'm going to watch in this quest is Season of the Witch by George Romero. Whoa, horror room.
Oh no,
brand placement.
I was doing that weird. I was actually looked like I was transparent because of this green screen. I was trying to figure. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to do a brand product placement.
I flip the screen because we're Malaire Ruroha. Is it backward?
You just summoned a demon,
didn't
you? Damn it. So that's going to be one of the segments, Quest for a Good Witch Movie. And on Horror Realm, on the Facebook page, if any of our posts, when we posted an episode's out, if you have any recommendations for a good witch movie you think is really good, don't give me a witch movie that you know is shit, please. Just one that you really think is good. I'll watch it. Maybe that'll be the witch movie that I never knew existed and is good. So, it's always great to interact with people on Facebook. So feel free to drop any witch movies in there that you might want me to view in this quest. So, Rich, you're going to do a little... What's that?
I said you're also going to put up our email address on the bottom of this, or the back of this, too, so that they can email you ideas.
I am. What is the email address?
Well, it's that one I sent you from today. It's connected to the YouTube.
Doesn't help me at all.
No, it's there now. You'll put it at the back of this thing. You got editing to do.
I do have editing to do, but if people don't watch, if they're reading.
If they're listening. No, I sent you an email. The Scary Room HR at gmail.com. HR stands for horror, in case you were wondering.
Nice. So yes, that'll be scrolling across the screen right now. Scroll it.
And the Scary Room, of course, is where I broadcast from, as you know.
I know. So you're going to be doing, for a segment, a retrospective piece. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
and you know what? This kind of was spawned by we're talking a lot of lasts today. The last event that you and I did at the Hollywood Theater when we had the John Carpenter Fest. And I really enjoyed that we were able to pick out 4 films and show them, and the interaction we had talking with other people, and little tidbits they had that I didn't know, and tidbits I could share with them. And if you recall, if the theater had been something that continued instead of closing down, we were going to continue this more John Carpenter and then focus on other directors. So I thought it would be fun to do that in this mode, if you will. And I'm still fleshing out, am I going to do by decade? Am I just going to randomly pick 4 films at a time until I get through a certain director? I haven't decided yet what will be make for the most interesting conversation, but I think it'll be fun. You know, it's going to be more than just, I watched The Fog and it was really spooky. No, I want to dig in to see what little trivia we can find about the filming, you know, sometimes what influenced things. Like, I mean, I ended up staying on John Carpenter. You know, The Thing, obviously The Thing, there's a lot of history of the original Thing movie.
Right.
You know, so that's what I want to do. And you know, and also find, you know, there's a lot of these directors have done things that aren't necessarily horror, but we still need to talk about them. I mean, you think about John Carpenter doing an Elvis movie with Kurt Russell, surprise, surprise, or, you know, a more independent director like Jeff Lieberman, who did, you know, of course, Squirm and From Dusk. What is it? You know what I'm talking about. Just Before Dawn. But he also did a great boxing film. Oh, Deadbeat from Dawn's a total different. No, Just Before Dawn is Jeff Lieberman. But he did a great boxing.
I knew there was Dawn.
So, you know, I think that's a great way. You know, people don't always know the work, non-horror work that these guys have done, and it's worth visiting. You learn to appreciate everything even more if you can visit that stuff. So that's the beginnings of the idea. It'll be more tight when we debut it in a few weeks, and I hope it's a lot of fun, and it'll be interesting to talk back and forth with you about this.
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely look forward to doing that because, you know, it was a lot of fun doing that Carpenter Film Fest, and to kind of keep that alive with the show, I think is a cool thing to do. So those are 2 of our little side things that we'll be doing sort of solo, but what we're going to have also is we're going to be looking back at past guests that you've had at HorrorRealm, and what we're going to do is, you know, talk about experiences with them, talk about films, but, you know, we want to also talk about a different side of them that you might not know about, because if we talk about, say, Bill Moseley, everybody knows Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everybody knows House of a Thousand Corpses, all that. But we are going to, you know, maybe focus in on 1 or 2 films that you may not know that he was in, to make it a little bit more informational for you as well. So we'll have that on deck. And then Rich, you can talk a little bit about, you know, hopefully we'll be getting some guest interviews as well.
Yeah.
Celebrities.
The guests that we're booking for the next HorrorRealm convention, I'm going to ask them if they're willing to come on, spend a few minutes with us, not necessarily to promote the convention, but just to, you know, so that the fans that are going to come out to see them get to hear from them a little bit in advance. And maybe you do tune in from this and it's not a person you were a fan of their film originally or films originally, but after speaking with them a few minutes, it'll build up the excitement for you to come out to the convention and meet them. And plus, it's just, it's great, as you know, Mike, talking to some of these people outside of the convention circuit, because we don't like to get in their way when they should be meeting the fans. So it's nice when we can have time to talk about what we'd like to talk to them about.
Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, conventions are, you know, celebrities and friends, but, you know, one of the backbones of conventions are vendors, and we want to definitely take time and spotlight vendors. So we're going to be doing something called View from Behind the Table, seeing, you know, just talking to vendors. They can promote themselves and their websites and whatnot, but just to get their perspective of what it is from behind the table that they're seeing at cons, trends and things like that. Just what it's like to be a vendor at a show, I think, is what we're really looking to do. Would you agree?
I agree, and hopefully, some of them will have some unique experiences. I'm sure their perspective has led to some funny things they've seen or some horrible things, and I can't wait to hear some of it. And we actually
Right?
have a confirmation. We'll be having our first from behind the table next week. I confirmed our first guest.
Who's that?
That would be Bob from Time Bomb Toys here in Pittsburgh,
Nice.
PA. Yeah,
Very cool. Good guy, supports a lot of shows, so that'll be good that he can, talk about different atmospheres and things like that. Um,
exactly.
and I'm sure he has a lot of good stories.
Oh yeah, yeah, and a true horror fan, which will make this even more fun.
Nice. So we're also going to do a couple little film reviews here and there. You're Go ahead and talk a little bit about that, Rich. That's something that you were heading up.
Yeah, I mean that was the other thing. We talked about. Of course, everybody that does what we're doing seems like you review movies. Um,
Yeah.
I think our goal, we want to focus in on some companies that are putting some cool things out and talk more about the company and the catalog they have. But we're also going to pick a couple films to watch from that catalog and discuss them. I don't even know if reviews the necessary label for it. Just discuss those movies and it gets back to promoting uh, people, which is important. And also, some of the companies we'll be looking at, I think most horror fans probably will come across them when they're looking to buy movies, but maybe you haven't, and or you might not realize they added something to their catalog. So keep you up on all that.
Yeah, and I think in this day and age of digital everything, you're a fan of physical media as well as I am, and I think we can focus in on special features and how they're trying to make media for a
Yeah,
collector, because for some reason American Blu-ray releases are lame in comparison to
yeah,
overseas, and I don't know why.
it really is.
So it's nice that the smaller companies, distribution companies, are doing some different things with media. So we'll be getting into that, and some other things will come up as the show goes on. But those are some of the main things that we wanted to talk about as far as the direction of Horror Realm Radio, and we actually have direction this time.
Whoa.
We're not just like, hey, let's just do something. So maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll help.
Good luck.
So moving away from horror realm and all that for a second, it was pandemic Halloween. Everybody had to adjust accordingly for their Halloween plans and their October plans. Like I know you celebrate the entire month. I do the same uh, for Halloween. So how was your pandemic Halloween different than a normal Halloween?
Mine was majorly different. As you know, I always try to over plan what I'm going to do for the month and probably only succeed in doing about half of what I plan, but it's important to me to line up every idea I can. And it was, I would say it was kind of disappointing year just because, Kennywood, I love going to the Fright Nights. I go to that every year. Kennywood was closed for
Right.
Fright Nights. So, that was a big thing taken out of my usual traditions, and it always creates an atmosphere and a feeling inside of you that just helps build up the holiday. Didn't go out to Trax Farms and do the big fall / Halloween festival that they have every weekend, so no haunted houses. So it was disappointing in that respect, but on the other hand, COVID has caused me to slow my roll a little bit this year, and I definitely watched more movies than I have in previous years. And I just sat back and relaxed and enjoyed the nice, cool weather, the changing of the leaves. I mean, not trying to be, cliche, but with all that stuff, everybody knows what happens in the fall. But yeah, it was very relaxing. And I feel, though different and disappointing in some ways, it was a nice time. And hell, I'm happy to be safe and healthy. So how can I complain?
Yeah, no, I I agree. Safe and healthy is important in these times, but Yeah, I found myself, this is the first Halloween season that, like you said, I just slowed down a little bit. I was kind of burned out with doing Days of the Dead and Horror Realm and all that, the schedule that I was keeping for so long, that I sort of fell out of love with Halloween a little bit, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get it.
It was like being inundated with it every day. And it just didn't feel the same anymore. And this year, after being separated from it for a little while, it felt like Halloween again to me. So I really delved. I actually watched 31 or 32 films throughout the month, and ooh, is
See if
that
that's better.
Evans
Sorry.
City Cemetery?
No, that's behind Children's Hospital.
No,
That's
you could have
the view
lied.
from some. Huh?
You could have said that. You could have said the chapel was just over your shoulder.
Yeah, but how awesome is that? That's the view from certain rooms at Children's Hospital is a cemetery.
That is funny. I mean, I don't care who you
You'll
are.
be
That's
okay,
funny.
son. Don't look out the window. So you watched 30.
I did. I did. Do you know how many you watched?
I do not. I had something like 50 in a little hand cart. Well, it's a little shopping basket from Toys R Us that when they
Yeah.
closed down I bought. And so I filled it up with like 50 movies and thought I'm going to get through all of these. I didn't because I fell the trap of turning the TV on and seeing something streaming and did that. But I would guess I watched somewhere between 25 and 30 movies a week.
Dogs are barking.
Night. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the world that we live in. Zoom meetings and dogs barking.
So,
So, do
well, as
you
long as
have? Do
nobody
you
Zoom
remember
bombs us with
any?
a penis.
What's that?
As long as nobody Zoom bombs us with a penis. You've heard about that stuff. Like when
No.
people don't secure their room correctly and like it's a work meeting and there's people going around trying to find easy access Zoom things and they'll just come on and show their penis and stuff.
Yeah, that's. I mean, people have time on their hands, I guess.
Yeah.
So, is there any film that stood out as, I guess, one of your favorites that you watched?
Yeah, it was well, there was a few and it was, even though I watched some new stuff this year and some things I hadn't seen for a long time, I still fall back into the trap of my favorites this time of year. I watched a lot of Universal monsters, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, Wolfman, Dracula. Um, Always love those. And how can you not? I mean, you can't argue those as being anything but great during Halloween, even if they're not your favorite. They fit. And then, of course, my Halloween night tradition is to watch John Carpenter's Halloween and Night of the Living Dead. So I watched those once again. Trying to think, I caught Fright Night throughout the month.
Nice.
Beetlejuice.
Fright Night
I
2.
watched. No, that's the worst movie I ever. Fright. I did watch Sleepaway Camp 1 and 2, and believe it or not, I had never seen part 2 prior, so that was a new one for me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I liked it. I thought
know.
I liked it as much as the first one. Not sure if you've seen it.
I have seen them all. I have not seen all of them in a long time.
Yeah.
I bought that pack. Do you remember that one that looked like a med kit?
Yeah, it's right over there on my shelf.
And, yeah. So,
That's the coolest thing.
so I did watch them, and they were okay, but I just preferred the first one. I'll be honest. I don't think they needed to be made. It's just
The funny part is I don't know how I missed 2 because I've seen the others. And those I can agree with maybe not making the others. I liked 2. I mean, yeah, 1 is definitely a superior movie, like most series of films are. But I don't know. And I thought, what's her name, Pamela Steen, did a nice job in that movie. So
I wanted to say Springfield, and I'm like, no, that's not right.
No, unless her brother's now Bruce Springfield. Nothing majorly new. A lot of old favorites. And how about you? What did you catch this month or last month?
So I caught some Shudder films that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
the first one, and then these are ones that I kind of want to talk about, and then I'm just going to throw some titles at you and get your reaction of that. But Shudder, I want to start with Mayhem. Mayhem is a Shudder exclusive, and it stars don't know his real name, but Glenn from The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
And it takes place in an office building, and essentially a virus breaks out. And if you get this virus, you have no inhibitions whatsoever. I think it's the id shuts off and the ego takes over. And so some people become like super horny, some people just want to murder everybody, some people, it's just different how this virus affects everybody. So it happens in a workplace. So you have all those workplace dynamic relationships, and usually people hate each other at work for the most part, because they're trying to get the job, or everybody's vying for the same job or raise or bonus. So it's just really interesting how they have this take on all of this. And one thing to say how it's very interesting, they had a case that someone killed somebody that while they had this virus, and the court said that they could not be charged with the crime because they were infected. So these people were quarantined in this building, and they had an 8-hour window until they could get the vaccine there. And for 8 hours, it was just anything goes, because you couldn't be convicted because they already set a precedent. So it was just really well done. It sounds sort of like the Belko experiment. I loathed the Belko experiment. I thought it was shit. This one was a really good version of that. So check Mayhem out if you have Shudder. Another one, The Cleansing Hour. This was a decent Shudder exclusive. Basically, the premise is these people put on an internet exorcism show where they a priest performs an exorcism. It's all bullshit until a real demon decides to show up, and they have to deal with that. So is it the best movie? Probably not, but it's entertaining and definitely worth your time, especially if you're into paranormal. The next one, Nobody Sleeps in the Woods, is a Shudder exclusive. Check that one out. And I don't know, our friend Adam, he did this, and so did I. Shudder started on Halloween at 8 or something. They started John Carpenter's Halloween. And then at 10:30, there was going to be a surprise movie. Now, this was on their streaming portion when you open the app.
Right.
So the movie was named Lucky. And this movie will not air again until 2021 at some point, and it never needs to air again ever. It's trash. It's garbage. I mean, it didn't even have anything to do with Halloween at all. And I was just really bummed about it, and it sucked, and I'm sorry I watched it. So when you see Lucky come up on Shudder, scroll on past, because you don't need to see that.
There goes our sponsorship from Shudder.
Well, that was 3 out of 4 that were good that I liked. All right, so I'm just going to randomly throw out some names at you here and see what you think. Stir of Echoes.
Like it. Am I supposed to expand upon that?
Did you see the new one with Kevin Bacon? Because he teamed up with the director again for that You Should Have Stayed Home or something.
No.
Did you see that new one?
Mm-mm.
So, thanks. Suck. Dead Alive.
Oh, I love Dead Alive. That's a movie.
That was that was the first time Geneva ever saw Dead Alive.
Oh, how'd that go?
And I told her that she was like, "What the fuck is this?" I said, "This is the workings of the rat monkey, dude. You can't fuck with the evil rat monkey, man."
Yeah.
So yeah, I had not seen that in a long time, and I'm glad I pulled it out of the collection to watch.
That's one that will stand the test of time, I think, forever.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
Never watched it. I know that's sounds
really.
Yeah, you know why? Because that's the Billy Zane one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate Billy Zane. So I've seen bits and pieces, but he just annoys me.
Yeah, Billy Zane, I think a lot of people hate him, and I'm not a huge fan, but this is one that I like him in. I thought it was a good role for him because he's just an asshole in it. So I picture him just being that in real life.
I think that's why I don't enjoy him because I don't feel like because he's an asshole in a lot of things. Like
Yeah, he
Titanic, he
is.
was an asshole.
Didn't his career went to shit, didn't it?
I think so. I mean, I haven't heard
I
his
mean,
name.
what happened?
Probably because he's an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, what he was he was in Titanic, and Demon Knight was a big movie when it came out,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he's in like sci-fi movies. So maybe being an asshole is not good in Hollywood.
I don't know, but I think that's what turns me off on the movie is that he seems like it's probably not acting, it's real personality. And tell you what, if I'm wrong, then he is a great actor.
Yeah, for real. Um, Hack-O-Lantern.
I like Hack-O-Lantern. Our friend Lewis from Massacre Video put that back out.
Yeah,
He hunted down the original print or whatever, and yeah, I mean it's what it's supposed to be. I mean it's a crap movie if you want to call a movie crap, but it's fun crap.
yeah, yeah. It was definitely that was the first time I've ever seen it. It was on Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
and just very, very interesting. I like the dad that always, or the grandfather. That was it. The grandfather was a great character. So if you haven't seen Hack-O-Lantern, that's on Amazon Prime, and I think you should check it out because
I
that's
like it.
pretty good. I found one. I don't know if you will have seen this, but it stars John Saxon, and it was from 1992, Hell Knight. He played some crazy ass dude that uh, had he was torturing people, and then one of the guys was Razor Face Charlie was his name,
Really?
and he had like these cuts all over his face. And John Saxon was in the movie for like 10 minutes, maybe. It was like thing. I had never seen it either. I had just happened upon it. I think Amazon Prime as well, and I was like, "Huh, that looks interesting." So I watched it. It. I think it's worth a watch. Not anything too special, but good.
I'm always up
Oh,
for
here's one. Yeah, yeah. No, if you have Prime, it's on there. Hell Knight. How about Trucks?
That's the remake of what's it called? Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, pretty much. It was yeah, Christine and Maximum Overdrive together as Trucks, and it was
I watched
it was
that
shit.
on Prime, I think, in October. I think
Yeah,
it was on Prime. And
yeah,
it
it's
was
a terrible movie.
It was horrible. Yeah, I was very disappointed in myself for watching it.
uh, here's another one, Scanners.
I haven't seen Scanner since I was a kid, but I remember loving that movie.
Dude, I watch it every so often, and it holds up every time because Michael Ironside is the fucking man, dude. I don't know. He's like on the level of what's his name? Halloween 3, dude. Just
Tom Atkins.
yes, yes. He's like nearing that level of cool Michael Ironside. So uh there was a story. I knew a guy that would go to Horror Hound, and he said Michael Ironside just showed up and just signed for free
Really?
one day at Horror Hound. Yeah, it was Saturday, and he was in the area, and I guess an agent knew or whatever, and he just came in and just sat at a table and signed for people that had shit.
That's
So
amazing.
there you go. Yeah, that would be cool. You should get him for Horror Realm.
Oh, sure. We can't get anybody to show up unexpected like that. Not even Virgil.
Virgil will be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to sponsor Virgil. Is that cool?
I'm going to sponsor your death.
Did you ever see Drainiac?
I haven't, no.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's one of those super low budget, but they were trying to be as serious as they possibly could. So it's it was just laughable. Cheerleader camp.
I haven't seen that for a while, but I like that movie. I mean, it's good for what it is. 80s fun.
Yeah,
When you put 80s in it and fun is how I like the. That's all I care about.
right. What about Bride of Reanimator?
I haven't seen that one for a while either, and it's funny because I'm sitting on. I forget who put it out. Was it Shout Factory or somebody, or Arrow put out a nice set that I got, and I haven't watched it yet, but I was. I mean, I remember liking it. The original's still my favorite.
So a couple more here before we move on. Um, the I watched the newest from Felissa, A Nun's Curse.
How was it?
That has it was decent. Felissa was in it. Our friend Christy Ray was in it, and her friend Erica Edwards, and some other. It was a Tommy Faircloth new film. Tracy De Leon, who was on a show, Dead on Movie Reviews, she was a producer of it, and she was also in it, and it was good. I was really worried it was going to be a ripoff of The Nun, in the Annabelle universe, but it wasn't. It definitely had its own feel and its own vibe. So that is also on Amazon Prime. So if you are a Prime member, you can go check that out, and that is worth your time as well. The last film that I wanted to bring up, and it's one that I rewatched, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. So 28 Days Later.
Oh, I thought you were telling me you were going to tell me what it was 28 days later from now.
No.
Sorry.
In 4 episodes, I will tell you.
So, what did I think of it? I like 28 Days Later. I think it's really, I mean, I think it's shot beautifully. And of course, it's the concept's not new. I mean, you can go all the way back to Last Man on Earth and that kind of stuff. Kind of the setting or the vibe, where person's the last man or whatever. And we know he's not ultimately the last man on Earth in 28 Days Later, but regardless, it had that same kind of feel to it at the beginning. I like it. It's not one that I am going to go back to a couple times a year or even every year, but I'm always glad to rewatch it every couple of years. And I see little nuances that I missed the first time around when I do watch it, because it's a little slow, as it should be for what they're trying to do.
Right.
But
yeah,
I like it.
Slow parts.
I like it better than 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah, I think the change of director really hurt.
Me too.
For that. I watching 28 Days Later, I had not seen it in a long time, and on Dead On and before that Midnight Spook Show and From Dusk Till Dawn, I always talked about dark horror and how I really liked dark, bleak horror movies, and Day of the Dead is one of the darkest, I think. There's no hope in it. And I think 28 Days Later grabs that by the balls and just yanks it. You know what I mean? Like this shit is bleak. Like nothing really positive happens throughout the entire film. And then you get to the end, and yes, there is some positive and whatnot. Normally, I don't really like those type of endings, but I really like these characters because I think they just did such a good job in the acting and the writing and directing. I felt something for these characters, and which is hard to do in a horror movie sometimes because the theme these days, it seems to, let's make the characters annoying, so you're happy that they get killed rather than endear them to you, so it's like you're invested in them.
I agree.
But yeah, the movie super dark, and I think the movie has a lot of social commentary that fits today. The beginning is environmentalists break into a lab that has infected monkeys, and you know, they ignore science. The scientist tells them, do not let this out. He lays out exactly what they have and what's going to happen,
Yeah,
and they still ignore him. And that's kind of happening today in
exactly.
some circles. So um, again, the entire part where they get to the blockade and they get with the military, that's just it's fucked. I mean, the entire just the whole movie is just a kick in the gut. And again, yes, there's a sort of a happy ending, but really, I don't know how happy it was. Again, sort of like you can debate the end of Day of the Dead. You know, was that the actual
Right.
end, or was that a a dream type thing? But yeah, Danny Boyle. Just there was always rumors of him coming back and finishing the story with Cillian Murphy for 28 months
I would
later.
like that.
Um, I would love that. I mean, I didn't hate 28 Weeks Later. I was entertained by it. It was more. You could tell it was more of a film production as far as like a Universal
Right.
film or something. It definitely had corporate hands in it, and it wasn't left as an art piece as I think the first one was. Some of those shots are beautiful. You're correct in that. So yeah, I really enjoyed 28 Days Later. That was probably my favorite film that I watched this Halloween.
Nice. That's
Was
awesome.
28 Days Later.
That's a good one to
Yeah,
have as the highlight. Yeah. Something I always like
yeah,
from movies like that. You talked about the bleak and no hope thing, but I also like that it can lead to fun discussion with those you watch the movie with. Like, what would you do in this situation? Like Dawn of the Dead,
right.
how you would handle the mall situation better, or like
Yeah,
all
for
that
sure.
stuff. I don't know. More than likely we're never ever going to be in that position, but it's fun to talk about, and sound smart for a
Oh,
minute.
most definitely. Most definitely. So yeah, I think, we made the most of the pandemic Halloween. It wasn't
Yeah,
perfect. I usually have a party for Halloween and friends over, but you adjust and you make do. And I ended up having a very calm, relaxing, and enjoyable Halloween season.
good. And that's what it's all about. I hope
So
everybody does that. Takes a moment and just enjoys life right now.
yeah, yeah, I think it's time to do that, especially with all the craziness going on in the world. So, yeah, that was our Halloween. We hope you had a good Halloween. We hope you had a safe Halloween and you're safe and healthy. Um, so, moving on a little bit, we decided to put a poll up on on
Yes.
Horror Realm Convention, the page. We had to do a Survey Monkey because it didn't allow us, right?
Facebook, I think if it's a group, you can do a survey. If it's a page, you can't. So, but it's kind of fun this
Right.
way anyhow because nobody sees the results until we reveal them. Whereas, Facebook polls, you see the results as they go on.
Right.
So I like this for those who are tuning in because they want to see the survey results. This is exciting stuff.
Hell yeah.
Do you want?
So let's go with it. What were the results, sir?
So the question was, since this is our Halloween wrap-up episode, what is your favorite Halloween candy? And we gave some options, and there's also other, and we asked people to go to the Facebook page if you ever choose other, and just put your in the comments what your choice would be. But the choices we gave were, well, why don't I just go by order of how they finished? And we only had 13 respondents, but that's not bad for our first time rolling this out. We
No,
had
not at all.
we had one other, and they did leave a comment, Milk Duds. That tied for last. Also tied for last is Butterfinger with one vote.
What? What?
Um, Also tied for last was Kit Kat with one vote.
Man, that's
And
some
the
good
last
candy.
the last one in last place with only one vote, and this one shocked me a little bit, M&M's. Can you
Wow.
believe that? So then
Hmm.
we get in. Then we have a tie for, I guess this would be second place. Two
Okay.
votes for Snickers and
Okay.
two votes for candy corn. Candy corn tied Snickers.
Huh. I
Yeah.
would not have thought that.
No,
In
me
a
either.
thousand years, I wouldn't have thought that.
Heck no. But then for first place with 5 votes, I mean, so it was a landslide. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Not a surprise.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate candy.
That's what's up. It really is the ultimate candy, and I'm glad that one. I'm a Three Musketeers guy though, as well.
What?
I was always a fan of those as a child,
Very nice.
and now. So, one of the segments that we did not talk about in the opening thing, I thought we would leave that for a little specialness, is this was your brainchild, actually, and it was one of the most popular segments of Horror Realm Radio 1.0, now that we're on 2.0, and that is the bottom 5.
Woo-hoo! My favorite thing.
Yeah, the bottom 5. So so we're doing the bottom 5 Halloween candy. So again, and also with this, the Scary Room HR at gmail.com. If you want us to do a bottom 5 of a certain something, please send that in. Put it on the Facebook page, anything, and we will take that. And you never know, your suggestion could make it on this very show.
This was always my favorite thing to do with you, just to see what the reaction would be, and I hope it didn't lose any of its shine while we took our break.
I don't think it will. I don't think it will. So do we want to go from our number 5 down to our number 1?
Yes. So 5 would be our least, or it would be our favorite, least favorite candy in this case, Halloween candy.
Yes.
So, and number 1 will be the one we hate the very worst. We would eat the other 4 before we ever ate this one.
Yeah, because, well, I actually have all ones that I don't eat. Like, so my number 5 is one I wouldn't eat anyway. Like, I went.
You see, I'll eat anything in it. Despite the hate, if it's all that's sitting there, I'll eat it.
All right, so number 5. Let's go. You can go first. What's your number 5?
Three Musketeers.
Oh, what? The worst. Why don't you like the nougat?
The minute you said that, I got all happy because I knew that would make for a good segment. I bite into it and it's like it's missing something because, like, you know, I bite into a Snickers and all of a sudden I get some peanuts and caramel and stuff, and I bite into the Three Musketeers and it's like, was there a defect when this one went through the machine? It's missing something.
It's creamy and delicious. You're the worst.
You need to stop.
You know, incidentally, I remember an article when I was in college that, and this is probably not true anymore, but they tested this news place tested all of the candy bars for rat hair was what they were looking for. And Three Musketeers had the least amount of rat hair. It wasn't rat hair free. It just had the least amount from Milky Way, Snickers, and you know, the rest. Now, why is there so much rat hair in a candy bar? What the fuck? I just thought that was crazy. So that's something to think about next time you put, you know, a Snickers in your mouth.
First of all, obviously the rats have better taste than you. And that's why there's less rat hair in the Three Musketeers. And second of all, I have no idea why there's any rat hair in anything we eat. That's disgusting.
Right? So hopefully that's not a thing anymore, but I did read that one time. And so at least I had less rat hair than you did.
Great. Well, I'll take my rat hair and then my candy. So what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Bit O' Honey.
I got no reaction.
Who the fuck wants Bit of Honey?
Yeah. I don't get it.
It's terrible. It's a terrible. I don't know if they make it anymore, but I do remember specifically as a kid that was in, like, either someone like my dad or somebody could have it, or it's just going right in the trash because I had no time for Bit O' Honey.
Well, as I mentioned, I'll eat anything. And I remember almost cracking my teeth in half trying to chew into it. And now, and I think it's supposed to be soft, but I think by the time anybody gets around to actually eating it, it's gotten old and hard.
Right.
And yeah, I'm not a big honey fan to begin with, so I don't need my candy to be honey laced.
No, no, it's just terrible. It's like a cough
Yeah,
drop without them. You're like, well, I don't want
yeah.
that. So yeah, fuck Bit-O honey. So what's your number
My
4?
number 4 would be just a plain old Hershey chocolate bar.
What? It's like one of the greatest chocolate bars ever, created by man. I don't
I
understand.
love a Hershey bar with almonds in it.
Oh God, nobody
Yeah,
wants those
but I don't like
ever.
a
They're the last ones to go in a
Hershey.
fundraiser
Hershey
box.
bars by
Always.
themselves are just boring to me. I'm like, man, I'm already fat, and I just ate this thing that I'm not even enjoying that much.
Why do you eat it then if you don't
Got
enjoy
nothing
it?
else to do.
Oh man, Hershey chocolate bar is like one of my favorites, man. That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, sorry, but
Huh?
can't help you on that one.
All right, my number 4, and this is a hard number 4. Mine is lollipops.
I almost choked on my Rebel Yell. How the hell? How the hell can you just say lollipops? There's so many different kinds of lollipops. There's no lollipop out there that you enjoy.
I like the one with the Tootsie Roll in the
Then
middle.
you have to take lollipops
The
off your list.
Nope, Dum lollipops,
Okay, there you
because you never got the ones with fucking the Tootsie Roll inside. It was always those little fucking Dum Dums that you just put in your mouth and just ate real quick, and you were like, great, now I just ate sugar that tasted like ass. I don't even know why I ate it.
that I can handle. Dum dum.
Why? Dum lollipops, stupid as fuck.
If
Hate
you
them.
went to the bank and the
You
bank
like
teller,
them?
no, but if the bank teller offered you one for free, you'd still take it.
Well, that's different. I mean, that's not in my Halloween candy. I mean, this is the stuff that would be at the bottom of my bag, after everything else had been picked through. Lollipops just never excited me.
I don't blame you. I
Or
can't
Dum
disagree
Dums, I
with you.
should say.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you now that you've gotten specific, because Tootsie Roll Pops are awesome.
Yes.
And the ones
Yeah,
with
no,
gum
they
in
are.
it. I like the
I
ones with
will.
gum in the middle too, the blow pops.
Yeah, those aren't bad. Those aren't bad. Both better than Dum Dums.
Yeah.
So you're number 3.
My number 3 is it's kind of a combination of the same thing. Mounds / Almond Joy. I'm not a big coconut fan, so it's just kind of, and those things are like 70% coconuts. I just don't enjoy them.
Well, I'll just jump to it. That was my number 3. Also, is Almond Joy. I
Nice.
I hate coconut as much as I hate almonds. So the thought of those two together, no, no fucking way. I don't want it
Yeah.
ever.
Well, good. I'm glad we're on the same page finally.
Yeah, it's like as good as Reese's chocolate and peanut butter are, is as bad as Almond Joy is with the coconut and the nut.
I agree. Well, I
So
guess
number
I should
2,
move to my number 2.
yeah,
The Mallow
that's my number 1.
Nice.
I hate the Mallow Cup. The reason I hate the Mallow Cup is you always reached in and grabbed it out and you're like, yeah, Reese's baby. And you pull it out of
Yep.
the sack and you're like, nope, fucking Mallow Cup, dude. What is this? And you throw it away.
Oh, Mallow Cup's the worst. And you know what? I had that same experience. Like, shit, this is not a Reese's. What about that off-brand? And it might have been from the same company that makes Mallow Cup, the off-brand peanut butter cup. Do you
I
remember
don't
that
know
thing, or did
those.
you ever run into that? Oh, maybe
No, I
since
never
I'm
saw
older.
that.
Oh yeah, I think it was from the same company that makes Mallow Cup, but again, it could be wrong. But yeah, it's like, well, it's a peanut butter cup. This has to be good. No, nope. It's like
No.
somebody puked up their Reese's and formed it into a cup and said, "Here, you can eat my puke cup."
They shouldn't even be allowed to make it the same shape as a Reese's cup.
It's
Like,
yeah. It should be,
it's not
you have to do
allowed.
a square or something.
Oh, fucking Mallow Cups. Do they even make those
Yeah,
anymore?
they're made out in Altoona, PA.
Oh,
That's where
really?
the plant is. It's like probably the only thing that
Ugh.
employs. We might have people listen out to you, and I should shut up.
They, they can have them in Altoona. I don't want them.
I mean,
So, okay, that was your what,
yeah,
number
what's your
two?
number two since I killed your number one?
You did kill my number one. It happens sometimes in the bottom
Yeah.
five. It happens. This is a combo because they're pretty much the same thing, just named different. Sweet Tarts and Smarties.
That's a good call.
Yep, it was tough. Mallow cups for those were the tough call, but I just remember like my Halloween stash, candy stash, those were plentiful because they sold those stupid bag
Oh yeah.
fills. Do you remember that? The combo bag for like 69 cents or
Yep.
something. And yeah, they just dump them in your bag and you're like, damn it,
Yeah.
I don't want that.
I mean, it's like your teacher freaking dipped the chalk in sugar and then made you eat it.
Right? Like, why do I want this? It's not good. So
I'd eat them with those.
Sweet Tarts are not. I know you would. I know you would. I'm getting that feeling.
Oh, Smarties.
So you're number one.
Did you say Smarties in there too?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, Sweet Tarts and Smarties.
Okay, you said Smarties. Yeah, that's right. Because that like the Sweet Tarts are bad, but the Smarties are like just an even bigger insult in my mind.
They are. They're shit.
Yeah.
And they're just sugar tablets that don't taste good.
No.
At all. Stop buying those for Halloween.
So
all right, so you ruined my number one, but what's your number one?
This one should be obvious to anybody who has any taste whatsoever. Candy corn.
That's not right. I like candy corn.
Well,
I will eat candy corn.
Michelle loves it. I think it's one of the most rotten.
Geneva likes it.
Yeah, I think corn should sue candy corn for using its name in there. It's so bad.
I know a lot of people do not like candy corn, and that's okay. And it's not something, if it's not Halloween, I don't want candy corn.
Yeah.
It's like pumpkin pie. If it's not Thanksgiving, I'm not really interested in a pumpkin pie. So that's my feeling on candy corn, but I do like it.
It's nice to look at in a bowl. Makes you nostalgic. And the colors are good.
What about the candy pumpkins?
I was going to bring those up because I feel as though they're in the same family and they somehow are just as rotten as candy corn.
Well, actually, they're more densely packed of candy cornness than the candy corns are. So you have more of a shot of the candy cornness, but they're good. Like I found Geneva bought some fancy, not all candy corn are the same, I found. Like you can get your cheap candy corn, and then you can get like some fancy candy corn that tastes really, really good. So maybe you just haven't had the right candy. Yeah, Trax Farms, I think, has some.
I've had it all. I hate it. And, I remember trick-or-treating and, like, they sold these little, they look like condom wrappers, but see-through. And there'd be, like, 6 candy corns in it. And that's what somebody dropped in your bag. I wanted to shove that thing down their throat.
I don't remember the snack pack of candy corn.
Again, I'm old, don't forget.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And all I can think of is it's like candy corn condom.
Now I want a candy corn condom.
We might want to edit that could be our $1 million idea.
So that was the return of the bottom 5. Now, we will have it on occasion. We don't want to overwhelm you with the greatness that is the bottom 5, so we will have that on occasion. But the last thing that we have for you on this re-debut episode is... what?
Oh, This Week in Horror.
There we go.
Already effects.
There we go. This week in horror.
Yeah, and I thought I would just peruse the internet and, so that can see what happened on This Week of Horror each time, and maybe it'll cause us to have some conversation or think fondly of a movie or whatever it may be. Or it may just be a waste of everybody's time. But at least it gives us an ending point.
It could be. Nice.
So I'm going to go down day by day for the upcoming week. Today, the 9th, wish Allison Court a happy birthday, November 9th, 1973. Not super well known, but she was in My Pet Monster, Twilight Zone episode, Beetlejuice TV series, Tales from the Crypt Keeper. She was Claire Redfield in a lot of the Resident Evil games. So somebody that we've probably been a fan of over the years and didn't even realize she exists.
Well, I hope she has a happy birthday. So she's a voiceover actress?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, she is. And now films that were released on November 9th, of note, 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That is a big film.
And on the same day, Silent Night, Deadly Night. 1984.
Huh. It's a pretty good day for horror.
That's a great day in horror. I wish every day could be that good. And then 1988.
Did you see both of those films?
What's up?
Did you see both of those films in the theater?
No, I never. I was a little young. I was only 12 at the time, so I saw them both on VHS.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course,
Nice.
You remember when I got Nightmare on Elm Street on film to show it to Hollywood. That was the first time I saw that on big screen.
Yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
Yeah, it was. But what a great, and I remember those were two that, like most everybody probably listening, I picked up off the shelf at the movie store all the time.
Right.
Also, that year, not that year, I'm sorry, but 1988, on November 9th, Child's Play was released. And 2 years later, 1990, Child's Play 2. So apparently, Child's Play was going with a kind of a November release theme.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hitting before the holidays.
Yeah. So November 9th was a pretty awesome day in horror, if you ask me.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Definitely some memorable films.
Now, November 10th has two major birthdays. One person has left us, sadly, Roy Scheider from Jaws.
Jaws?
Yeah. So, Roy passed away in 2008. Sorry I never met him. That would have been an awesome dude to meet. But also born on the 10th was Neil Gaiman. You're familiar with Neil?
Great writer.
I would hope.
Yes.
Yes. So born November 10th, 1960. Movie releases November 10th, not so hot. 2006, The Return. I have no idea what that is.
I don't either. I never saw
Maybe
it.
That's what you do when you buy the DVD.
You just return it. I don't want this.
Yep. November 11th, which is also John Delzato's birthday.
Oh,
We have
Johnny D.
Yeah, Johnny D with some big birthdays, and all of them have been in horror. So 2 out of the 3 are known for outside of horror mainly, but Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, he was in Critters 3, and Shutter Island. I consider that a horror film. I think you'd be dumb if you didn't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Demi Moore, born November 11th, 1962, and Ghost is not a horror film, but she did have some horror cred to her name. And
you just wanted to mention Ghost.
We can make this show into HorrorRealm Swayze Radio any day.
No.
And the last birthday,
I would have nothing to say.
Last birthday I found on the 11th, great man. I think we're both huge fans. Bill Moseley.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and
he's a good guy.
Yes, he is. And sharing that big day with those 3, we had the release of Ghost Town in 1988.
Oh, nice.
And interview.
Great cover.
Yes. Oh, that was one that you pulled out off the shelf and rented it just by the artwork.
Yep.
In 1994, we had Interview with a Vampire.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that film.
Yeah. So getting through this, a couple more days left for this week. November 12th, long gone, of course, but great actress, Grace Kelly. She was in a few, she was in Rear Window and Dial M for Murder, in 14 Hours. So she had, that was the horror of that day.
Right. It was.
Next person I was not familiar with, maybe you are, Rhoda Mitchell, born November 12th, 1973, was in Pitch Black, Phone Booth, Visitors, Silent Hill 2006, so that was the original, I think, 2006.
Yeah.
Rogue, which I think was a Dimension release or something. The Crazy remake, Silent Hill Revelation, Red Window, The Frozen Ground, Sacrifice, and most recently The Darkness in 2016. So not familiar, but obviously watched some of that stuff and enjoyed it, like Silent Hill.
Yeah, definitely. The Crazies remake I liked a lot.
Me too. Very well done. And sharing a birthday with film releases, 1982, you had Alone in the Dark. And once again, a Chucky movie, Seed of Chucky in 2004.
Seed of Chucky.
Yeah. So two.
No good.
Well, no, we don't need to dwell on the Seed of Chucky. So we get to November 13th, and we have Gerard Butler, November 13th, 1969. Tale of the Mummy, Dracula 2000, Phantom of the Opera 2004, and The Vanishing a couple years ago. I'm sure you're familiar with Gerard.
And now this is Sparta. This is Sparta.
And the man, November 13th, 1935, Tom Atkins was born.
Nice.
Yes.
Tommy.
Yeah. Can't believe
should get him for HorrorRealm.
Shut up.
What?
Movies released that year. We're gonna go on. 1933, The Invisible Man. 1987, The Running Man. 92, me too. 1992, Bram Stoker's Dracula. And 1998, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. What did you think of that series of films?
Dude, I did a retrospective piece on From Dusk Till Dawn Radio about how Scream was a good movie, but it ushered in a plethora of fucking terrible movies for a decade. And I Know What You Did Last Summer, Valentine, I had a bunch of other ones too. It was just the same drivel, just rehashed in different ways with different actors and actresses. And as much as I like Scream, I hate what it did to the for horror for a while.
Yeah.
And I just did not like I Know What You Did Last Summer. I just thought it was popcorn horror made for the masses. I didn't like it.
I agree. And the longer lasting legacy I think Scream had was that's where you can really see the transition to the bad cover art. And they all started copying each other with how they copied and pasted or clipped and pasted the pretty people's faces and just did crap. There was no imagination anymore.
I often wondered if the actors wanted that in their contract so they got more exposure to being on the poster and the cover.
That's interesting. I'd be an interesting thing to find out because I think you would rather have more units sold if you did things correctly. And
I agree. I hated that whole thing because you're right. It was just like pretty people's faces title. It's like, no, that's not what we want.
Angled in a certain way, certain color schemes. It was the same old thing. And yeah, I mean, I did not buy things because of that artwork. Whereas if you gave me, what did we say before? Ghost Town?
Ghost Town, yeah.
I would buy that.
Dressed as a cowboy.
Yeah, I'd buy that sight unseen just for the cover. So I think they lost a lot of money by not doing good artwork.
Urban Legends was another series that spawned from that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Awful. Just terrible.
Let's move on to November 14th. Couldn't find any birthdays of note and only one film release. 1995, Castle Freak.
Nice.
Shall we move on to November 15th?
Penis. Yes.
November 15th. Birthdays, Sean Murray, November 15th, 1997. I wasn't real familiar with him. I guess he's pretty well known for NCIS, but he was looked like a little kid in Hocus Pocus. Yeah, so if you're a big Hocus Pocus fan, you might know who Sean Murray is, or NCIS fan. Johnny Lee Miller, Johnny Lee Miller was in Dracula 2000, Mindhunters in 2004, the Dark Shadows movie in 2012, and Byzantine in 2012. So not somebody I would know to look at, but some stuff I've checked out and I would recognize them.
Right.
And the last one, I think this is somebody you will know well and like, and I can never say this right. November 15th, 1939, Yaphet Kotto.
Oh, shit, is that the dude from Running Man, right?
Running Man, Alien, The Jigsaw Murders, Freddy's Dead, Final Nightmare.
Yeah, that's it.
Really, kind of, I think, an underappreciated guy in the scheme of things.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
When you look at his resume, it's like, why don't you see him at more shows?
I've seen him at shows, but I agree. I don't know why he hasn't done more shows. But I would be a terrible promoter because I never know what the crowd wants.
Honestly, that's the kind of guy I'd like to have at HorrorRealm.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. I would love to meet that guy.
And wrapping it up, decent movie releases. The original 1925 Phantom of the Opera.
Nice.
Great film. 1985 One Spittin', fun film. And 1991 great film, Cape Fear.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Post show.
Yeah, so hopefully that was interesting to people. We'll pick up the liveliness of it. We're getting our feet under us still.
Oh, definitely.
I like the week in horror. It's fun to think about that stuff and remember when you saw Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time, like we discussed.
Most definitely. So we'll be bringing you that at the end of each show. But this was, in fact, the rebirth of HorrorRealm Radio. And I'm definitely happy to be back in the saddle with Rich and looking forward to having some fun with this show for sure.
Me too. It's awesome to do this with you. I've always had fun. And, I just hope anybody who takes the time to listen enjoys. And I hope they give us some input with the various ways they can because would love to make the show into what people want to hear or see.
And don't forget to check out the HorrorRealm convention page on Facebook. That's when you'll find out when these drop, which is Monday. They'll be on the HorrorRealm YouTube channel, as well as later on we'll put it on Otherworldly Culture. Have that up there for that. And also the podcast, remember, that'll be available on Amazon, Stitcher, and iTunes, where you get all your favorite podcasts. So again, thank you all for tuning in. We are HorrorRealm Radio, and we are the show that won't stay dead. Have a good evening, everybody.